That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
That's wizard chess.
What up? And welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate, and joining me as always, my brother and co-host, Zach.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. I'm Zach.
Yeah, that was good. I like
Hey,
that.
what's up, guys? We're peppy tonight.
We're peppy.
And so
we're both drinking Dr. Pepper.
We're
Maybe
both drinking Dr. Peppy.
That's not a plug. They're not paying us.
No, they're
for
not paying
shit.
us.
Trust us.
Don't drink it.
Trust us.
Don't drink it.
They ain't
Only
paying
we
us.
can drink it.
drink it.
If you've joined us before, you know that we're a couple of goons who read Game of Thrones and then talk about it.
If you haven't joined us, we are full spoiler. Enter at your own...
The answer to everything is 42.
I didn't get to finish.
That's a
that,
spoiler.
Okay, it is.
Hitchhiker's
yes.
Guide.
Right.
The book and the movie. The movie's
movie's
greatest
great.
guy, Alan Rickman. in
Had
it.
Alan. Well, he's still in it.
Yeah,
He's no longer with
yeah.
us, though.
Well,
Rest
we
in
don't
peace.
talk about that magnificent man's death. He lives forever in my heart.
Anyway.
As Severus Snape and the depressed
Who killed
robot.
Dumbledore?
And Marvin the depressed
Marvin,
robot.
Yeah, he's great. Anyway.
Yeah,
last-
this is not a podcast about
Hitchhiker's
just random
Guide or Alan
spoilers.
Rickman.
Or Alan. We should do a podcast.
We should
about
do an
Alan
Alan
Rickman.
podcast. Let us know if you want to listen to
Patreon.
it. Last episode, we read Dany 9.
Dany 9.
Her second to last chapter.
Yeah.
And she fucking killed Drogo.
Yeah, we had some crazy fever dreams.
Now,
and
technically, she actually killed him a couple chapters
yeah,
before that,
this is the results of
Yeah.
the blood magic spells that Mary Mazdur was
so,
doing.
Yeah, it's a pretty great episode. We went deep
I mean,
into
no, don't break it. I'm jerking us
I know
off.
if I'm great, man. I forgot what I was going to say.
Dany essentially learned that Drogo was catatonic, and that's no life to live for a man like Drogo. So, yeah, she put a little more stock in Miri Mazdur's once the sun rises in the west and sets in the east and your womb quickens.
Dumbass.
And said that to him as she smothered him with a fancy cushion.
Yeah.
And so that was the end for Drogo and for Dany's sanity.
Yes. So this episode, we are reading Tyrion 9.
So Tyrion, we left in the middle of a battle at the...
it was the end of the battle.
Like the end of...
Because they had won and had fought Bruce Bolton back, and then the courier had arrived stating that...
Robb Stark wasn't there.
Robb's not her.
He was at Whispering Wood. Where was that? That was at one of the Red Fork?
That was at the... Well, at that time, they were still down by the crossroads.
Yeah.
And so... Because then they rushed north to try and
Yeah,
meet.
that was near one of the forks, because you pointed it out, because that's...
It was west of the forks, because I was checking, because it was the Whispering Woods was closer to the forks.
Yeah.
Because Nymeria
That's right.
was traveling over
I'm mixing
there.
them up.
So, but yeah, anyway,
I
Tyrion,
digress.
they got the news that Jaime had been
Captured.
and River Run was,
That's where Robb Stark
next.
went.
Yeah.
Robb Stark was going to lift the siege of River Run.
Yeah.
And so we pick up Tyrion. Tyrion's in a council meeting currently.
So, this is Tyrion's last chapter.
This is Tyrion's last chapter of A Game of Thrones, and I think one of the better ones for him.
It's outstanding.
They have my son, Lord Tywin Lannister says. They do, my lord, the messenger says. The boar of Crayclaw is half obscured on the messenger's blood-stained surcoat, so we learn that this is a Crayclaw.
Yeah. So he's gathered all of his lord's bannermen and all the...
They're getting a status
officials.
report.
They're getting exactly
how fucked they are.
On what's going on. And so Tyrion was thrilled that he's staying at an inn, first of all, even if it is the crossroads again, because he fucking hates this place. And he had been, summoned from his room where he was with his bitch there, Shay. She's a bitch.
Yeah,
man.
Tyrion thinks pretty spitefully, one of your sons. They have one of your sons, and he's sipping wine. He's not saying anything. We learn that this is something he learned from his father, where say less, observe more.
Yeah, and he even notes that here.
And he thinks of Jaime though, with pain shooting through his arm, where he took that morning star in the elbow, and he thinks that he loved his brother, but he, for all the world, wouldn't wish to have been with Jaime and Whispering Wood in that fucking slaughter there.
Yeah, and since then, Tyrion was thinking about how just tons of men are deserting overnight.
Yeah,
and
they've been making a grueling march south where Tywin has not relented and allowed any rest, and so the wounded and the tired were expected to keep up the best they could.
Or be left behind.
Yeah, they were
to fend
abandoned.
for themselves.
And each morning, a few more were left by the roadside, and each evening, a few more deserted, stealing off with what horses and provisions they could into the woods. And Tyrion was half tempted to join them.
Yeah. So I feel partially like that was a rash, pissed off decision by Tywin to rush his army like that because he was so pissed off that he got baited by Robb Stark and that they clearly sent a freaking curveball at him.
Yeah, no, I think obviously Tywin was pissed that he was had by this boy he underestimated, this green boy, but I think he quickly kind of covers up that weakness. Yeah. And really, I mean, he's kind of doing himself a favor here, picking off the deserters, at least. I mean, it's pretty brutal to do to your men, but like the deserters that are fleeing, he couldn't clearly trust them anyway. Most of them are sell swords, it seems to be. So.
Yeah, and Tyrion even at this point thinks that, and it was all for nothing, because Robb had reached Riverrun days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Days and days ago.
And yeah, so Sir Harris Swift speaks up. How could this happen? What madness made Sir Jaime split his men in three? Surely he knew how vulnerable that would leave them. And
that sets Tyrion off.
Yeah, better than you chinless craven.
Fuck, he's just... And this is that entitlement, I think. Because he'll even... It's a big part of Tywin at the end of the chapter, this I'm better than you feeling. Because he just looks to... And he's a lord. Like, Sir Harris Swift isn't just some low lord, farmer, common folk. Like, he's a lord. And Tyrion, this imp, is like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, he thinks Jaime might have lost Riverrun, but it angered him to hear his brother slandered by the likes of Swift, whose only true accomplishment was marrying his chinless daughter to Sir Kevin, attaching himself to the Lannister family.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. So, he's a fucking nobody.
And he gets shut down immediately by Kevin.
Kevin, I'd have done the exact same. And he says... Tyrion notes that Kevin's much calmer than Tyrion is.
Yeah.
Like,
and Kevin explains exactly what was explained to us by, I think it was the Blackfish during Catelyn's chapter.
Yeah.
That the way that Riverrun's laid out, the land that goes to it, it has to be split
Jaime
into three.
had little choice.
You have to siege it from three different directions, because if you don't, that you can be ambushed very easily.
And the messenger, the Clegane messenger, even speaks up and says, Sir Kevin speaks truly, my lords. And then gives an explanation of the attack. They came down from the north on the north camp first. No one expected an attack. Mark Piper had been raiding the supply train, so Sir Jaime had rode out to deal with them, or what we thought was them. We were told Robb Stark was east of the Green Fork, marching south.
And the mountain speaks up here, man. And he's of course, like, you don't expect anything less. And, props to the actor from the show, but...
Which one?
Fucking truth. Book... Mountain is just a fucking savage.
Yeah, he's a scary dude.
And so he starts yelling like, well, where were your outriders? Why weren't these men spotted? How could you not see them? And they say, we had them out there, but the ones that did return didn't see anything.
But most of them have vanished.
And and so he said, well, this is what the fuck you need to do. You get new outriders, and if they fail, you give them the eyes of the old outriders, or those out, and just keep giving them people eyes, because more eyes are better, apparently.
Yeah, a man who sees nothing has no use for eyes. Cut out his eyes, give them to the next outrider, tell him 4 eyes might help him see better than 2, and if not, the next man after will have 6. Yeah. Cut out their fucking eyes, because they're clearly serving no purpose to you.
And Tywin is looking at him. Says he studies Gregor, but Tyrion can't tell whether it's out of respect or because or approval, if he thinks that that's going to be the best way.
Approval or disgust, yeah. And it says that Tywin was often quiet in council, preferring to listen rather than speak. And Tyrion tried to emulate that. Yet this silence was uncharacteristic even for Lord Tywin Lannister. Even his wine sat untouched.
Which is important to note as well.
Yeah.
And Kevin asks, you say they came at night, which spawns the courier again to, the Blackfish led the van, and by the time they were on the camp, it was fucking too late. They had plowed through that first part, and then from there, Robb, leading, I think it was the Great John and Karstarks, came fucking straight down the middle to clear out. And those who fled on the boats and rafts fucking went under, and shit was just bad
Sir
news,
Flemett
man.
Brax speaks up asking about his father who was there.
My father?
And it's decided that he most likely went down when a raft overturned in the river, and Tyrion thinks he was a fool. And he to be on a raft in full armor, knowing that you could easily go under.
He says he died gallantly, and Tyrion thinks, is that what he thought when he was being pulled to the bottom of the fucking river
with his gallant armor?
Yeah, like.
And so he says, the boy led the charge between the rivers, a monstrous wolf by his side. It said the beast killed 4 men.
It was Umber and Mallister that had accompanied him.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And he says, we formed a spear wall, but River Run opened their gates, and Lord Titus Blackwood took them in the rear.
Get him, Titus!
Great John Umber burned our siege towers. Blackwood found Edmure Tully among the other captives and made off with them all. So, yeah, they got
What a
fucked.
perfectly executed plan. And, like, for the Tullys to see and be watching and just back it up. And,
Titus Blackwood
like,
and getting them in the rear.
And then, of course, you get that exaggerated wolf stuff, or is it exaggerated, that Greywind was there just slaughtering men right beside Robb and the rest of them. And...
So we learned that Forley Prester was leading their south camp, and he retreated with 2,000 spears and as many bowmen. But the Tyroshi sellsword had struck his banners and went over to the foe. And Tywin wove his fingers together under his chin. Only his eyes were moving, his face a mask.
Yeah, and Kevin shouts out that he told Jaime not to trust I told Jaime not to trust a man who fights for his coin. And I think that's really interesting because
Bronn?
Tyrion's sitting right there with Bronn.
Yeah, well, Bronn's out there.
Well, Tyrion's sitting right there and he has Bronn.
Yeah.
And I think there's obviously a major difference between Jaime and Tyrion in the trust aspect. Like, Tyrion knows that's all Bronn wants. And he's utilizing that correctly, whereas Jaime, their sellswords, he wants a bigger army.
Well, yeah, it's less personal.
Yeah.
With sellswords in an army. And yeah, Tyrion notes that there are beads of sweat on Tywin Lannister's head.
Yeah.
And so the lords kind of bitch back and forth about what to do. One even suggests suing for peace.
I made that quote actually for his sweat there because they keep mentioning the gold in his eyes.
Yeah.
And then it said in there, Lord Tywin wove his fingers together beneath his chin. Only his eyes moved as he listened. His bristling gold whiskers framed a face so still it might have been a mask. But Tyrion could still see the beads of sweat dappling his father's shaven head. And I really like how they keep pointing the gold at Tywin. Not just because of the Casterly Rock piles of gold, just that fucking power that almost comes
I
with
like
it.
His eyes. The green,
speckled
flecked
gold.
eyes,
like, it's crazy. And I just think it's important that how he's sweating here. This guy that we've known to be super calm so far, something's got him on.
Well, I mean,
edge.
we've learned that basically for Tywin, these beads of sweat are akin to him fucking running around screeching with his hands over his head. Like, this is the most panic we've seen and will see from a man like him.
Right.
And so, and through Tyrion's eyes, we're viewing it. So, and Tyrion's noting it and notes that that's important. And we've learned that Tyrion has a pretty good read on his father.
Yeah.
He thinks so, and so he trusts that.
Yeah, so Sir Harris again speaks up, and this is awful. How could this happen? It's catastrophic. And he's interrupted by Adam Marbrand, who's like, dude, shut the fuck up. We know. Like, we got it. What are we going to do about it is what we need to be asking. And they kind of argue back and forth for a minute, but Sir Harris decides, we need to sue for peace.
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 Tyrion swirls his wine in his glass and took a big, deep sip and hurled it to the floor where it shattered into 1,000 pieces.
There's your peace.
My nephew broke it for you, good and all, deciding to ornament the Red Keep with Lord Eddard Stark's head. It'll be easier drinking from that cup than getting Robb Stark to make peace now. He's winning. Or hadn't you noticed?
And Sir Adam Marbrand gets all fucking feathery,
oh yeah,
cocked up here. Oh, we're far from lost. One battle's not a lost war, and yeah,
they start going back and forth, and it's bullshit. And Tywin rises to his feet.
Well, yeah, because even Lord Lefford shot in with offering a truce and like all sorts of shit. But yeah, Tyrion was like, we can't even do a truce because they have more prisoners. We can't do a trade because we'll be down.
Have the two Stark girls.
Like, yeah, they have Arya and Sansa. Who in their right mind would give two little girls for Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, one of the most well-renowned fucking war battle fucking warriors around? And then he says that they won't ransom him either because they don't need the fucking gold. If they want the gold, they can melt Jaime's armor down.
Correct.
And yeah, Tywin stands up because Marbrand wants to get them marching and get fucking reinforcements from Casterly Rock and get the King's Landing shit taken care of.
Which is none of it is possible.
No, not at all.
As Tywin will explain later.
Exactly. And
so Tywin, he rises. They have my son. And his voice cut through the babble like a sword. Leave me, all of you. And ever the soul of obedience, Tyrion rose to depart with the rest, but Tywin gave him a sharp look. Not you, Tyrion. Remain seated. And you, Kevin. And so they did.
But everyone else out.
Yeah. Tyrion was speechless, and as Kevin crosses over to the wine cask to get himself a drink, if you would be so kind, Uncle.
I'll take a round. No.
Here. His father offers him his cup of wine, which was untouched.
Yeah, I feel that's a here. Just like, take it.
Yeah.
Just fucking take it.
And now Tyrion is fucking dumbfounded.
He has no clue what's up.
And Tywin sat back down. You have the right of it about Stark. Alive, we might have used Lord Eddard to forge a peace with Winterfell and Riverrun, which would give us the time we needed to deal with Robert's brothers. Dead? And he curls his hand into a fist. Madness. Rank madness.
I like that.
It's one of the best.
Madness. Rank madness. That's
yeah,
so
I mean,
good.
and I think the offering of the wine was him saying that was a good, your thing on peace was exactly right.
No, you're correct.
They're fucking dumb for even entertaining the thought.
Here's your cup for you smashing yours in a wonderful example.
I feel like Tywin would have done the same.
Well, that's it.
If Tywin wasn't being silent and pissed off about Jaime, he would have smacked his own fucking cup.
Because that's a great way to utilize the metaphor of the shattered cup and having that silencing effect.
And breaking the cup gets everyone's attention.
So I agree.
And so Tyrion notes that Joffrey's only a boy. I committed many follies of my own at that age, and Tywin gives him a sharp look.
Things are worse than they know.
Yeah, he says, we ought to be grateful he's not married to a whore. And Tyrion debates flinging his cup of wine in his father's face, but doesn't. And Tywin goes on saying, our position is worse than you know. We seem to have a new king. Yeah. And immediately
Kevin freaks out thinking Joffrey.
What have they done to Joffrey?
And he's like, no. So Renly...
he says that. Kevin blurts that out. And Tyrion notes a faint flicker of distaste played across Tywin's face. I think at the fact that Kevin's showing, I think Tywin's so done with this boy king already.
So I think that's showing how simple Kevin is compared to the Tyrion Tywin.
See, I don't really think that the distaste is at Kevin showing this kind of react. I think it's to Joffrey. I think his distaste is that someone's who cares at this point what the fuck they do to this kid who just fucked everything
anyway.
Now.
See, I was thinking of it more as you still see this child as anything more than that.
Yeah.
So why are you...
I don't know if Tywin wants him dead at this point, but clearly he doesn't want him in charge and in power because he made this huge fucking blunder. Yeah. And so,
we find out Renly has now married Marjorie Tyrell down in the Highlands.
Here we go.
And so, again, we've got Catelyn and we've got Dany after this, and Jon. So we only got 3 more chapters left. So we're lining up the start of Clash of Kings. So we need to have everything in place. And
Renly and Marjorie
are setting up. And so we learn that the Tyrells and many other houses down in the
bride's father and brother have bent the knee and sworn their swords. And and then Tywin goes on to say, My daughter commands us ride to King's Landing to defend against Renly in his Night of Flowers.
Commands us, mind you.
His mouth
in
tightened.
the name of the king and council.
Yeah.
Fuck, he is not happy with Cersei
Tywin
ordering him
does
around.
not like getting orders. And so Tyrion asks, how is Joffrey taking it? And Tywin answers that Cersei hasn't seen fit to tell him. Fears that he'll insist on marching on Renly at once.
I need to, before we get too far into this part, I think that, how long is it before he knows Joffrey? Do we know that he finds out about Renly and them, all that? Because could he know by this point? Because it occurred to me when I was taking notes that it's not like they can just fucking pull up fucking their cell phone and be like, FaceTime.
Yeah, no, so Cersei
it's me and King's
clearly
Landing.
had sent a letter saying that Renly is married, yada, 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 and I need you to return here to defend against that. And Joffrey, the king hasn't been told. And so, because he'll insist on marching himself, yada, yada, yada. So I would assume that it's probably in between books that he finds out. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, we'll
he
find
might
out,
get it
but
in the chapter. It might be revealed to him, but I'm pretty sure it's probably in between
so it's just
books.
funny that at the moment they say he doesn't know. And I don't know if he finds
Yeah, no,
out by the time
Cersei sent
Tyrion
this
gets
letter
there.
a while ago for them to... I mean, even though they're just at the inn at the crossroads.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's
it's still some time, a couple days
Yeah.
minimum. Yeah, but so Tyrion then says, well, with what army? Or is it Kevin asks?
No, Tyrion, yeah.
Yeah,
Tyrion.
and so Joffrey would be taking the City Watch out and charging with them. Like, fucking... Which, I mean, you can't blame the kid. He's an idiot anyways, so of course he's going to do something stupid. I blame Cersei for allowing the kid to be an idiot.
But, Jesus Christ, the City Watch.
Yeah, and jeez. And then we learn a bit about...
Well, because Tywin looks at Tyrion, and he says that, I had thought you won for motley, but it appears that I was wrong. And Tyrion quips back, why, father, that almost sounds like praise. And he asks, what of Stannis?
And he...
the elder brother, how does he like Renly's claim?
He says about Stannis, I have felt from the beginning that Stannis was a greater danger than all the others combined. Yet he does nothing. Oh, Varys hears whispers. Stannis is building ships. Stannis is hiring sellswords. Stannis is bringing a Shadowbinder from Ashai. What does it mean? Is any of it true? And
Well, I mean, there's Stannis set up for due.
That makes my heart tingle because it's just, these witch whispers are true. And back on my first read, I never would have picked up on any of that. Like,
I didn't.
Just as
obviously.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And so the Shadowbinder from Ashai stuff, like how...
Yeah, Melisandre, what up,
right,
girl?
like these little hints and nods to what's to come.
I mean, yeah,
so
the only
awesome.
thing it's missing is, like, burning the fucking idols of the
burning
seven.
down false gods and crazy shit.
Tywin tells Kevin to bring him the map, which he does. And
I just picture him like the little assistant from like for Frankenstein. He's
Well,
little
yeah.
Igor. He's like, yes, Tywin.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll get you your map.
And he does, and Tywin unrolls it, and he says that Jaime has left us in a bad way. Roose Bolton and his host are north. They hold the twins in Moat Cailin, and Robb Stark sits between us and Lannisport in the Rock. Jaime is taken. Thoros of Myr and Beric Dondarrion plague our foraging parties. East are the Errands and Stannis at Dragonstone, and the south now calls their banners. And Tyrion smiles crookedly. Take heart, father. At least Rhaegar Targaryen is still dead. A man after my own fucking heart, Tyrion.
From the way he's describing this, there's so much hope for the North.
Oh yeah, it's like fucking tragic.
Fuck, man, like
because in that one little block of talking there that Tywin did, he shut down every single suggestion of the Lords earlier.
Yeah,
this is what he wanted to say. He was just so mad at their stupidity and Jaime being taken that like he had to condense it down to people who would understand
and listen and
and then come up with decent fucking ideas. And so, I really like how, Robb Stark's army has them fucked. They can't reach their home.
Yeah.
The South is now calling and rallying against them.
If they have the Eyrie coming their way, army? Like, I know that the Veil of Aaron's not coming, but...
And Stannis on
there's that fear,
Dragonstone.
right, just all sorts of shit. And so Kevin kind of expresses his fears at being caught between 3 armies and just getting fucking devastated. And Tywin says, we have no intentions of staying here. And he tells them they're going to Harrenhal.
Well, he breaks it down. Lord Stark must be dealt with quickly, which he calls him Lord Stark now.
Lord Stark. Well, because Ned's dead.
Well, he's been bested by him.
Well,
around
I mean, I think that's coincidental, but it's also Ned's dead.
I get that, but it's the one too of like he's been. I think it plays to Tywin's anger of he was bested by this boy, and now he's got to call him Lord Stark. Too, it's that salt in the wound. But yeah, Lord Stark must be dealt with quickly. Before Renly marches from Highgarden. Bolton does not concern me. He is weary and will be slow to pursue. On the morrow, we make for Harrenhal. And he orders for more men for Outriders. Yeah. I want no more vanishings.
Says, I want you to send Sir Adam to screen their movements. Give him as many men as he requires. You send them out in groups of 4, so that way they do not get lost or fucked. Robb can't pick them off. Then he also tells Kevin to get Sir Gregor, Vargo Hoat, and his free riders, as well as Amory Lorch, and get them to burn the fucking Riverlands from the God's Eye.
He says unleash Sir Gregor.
So that's I have a sidebar note about that. I fucking love that he uses the word unleash Sir Gregor and send Vargo Hoat.
Because Kevin asks him why Harrenhal, people say it is cursed, and Tywin immediately just goes, let them unleash Sir Gregor and let him burn the fucking Riverlands.
Fuck. From the God's Eye to the fucking Twins, man. Just burn the Riverlands.
So Kevin, they will burn, my lord. And he turns and leaves. They will burn, Tywin. And he fucking Igor's his way out.
Master.
And alone, Tywin glanced at Tyrion. Your wildlings may join Vargo Holt and plunder and pillage as they like. But Tyrion thinks about that, and he wants them close.
No, I'd like to keep them close. Well, then you'd better get them under the control.
And Tyrion thinks he wants the wildlings close because they were his, and he did not trust his father's men at all. So, I'll not have the city plundered. And Tyrion's lost.
What?
King's Landing, I'm sending you to court.
For what, father?
Rule, Tywin says curtly. It was the last thing Tyrion ever expected, and he mentions that my sweet sister may have a word to say on that, and Tywin just delivers what I think has been his thinking the whole time.
Yo, and I love this shit.
Like, do you have it?
I don't have it all written.
She can say what she likes. Her son needs to be taken in hand before he ruins us all. Me, I blame the council. Our Lord Peter, Grand Maester, Lord Varys. What kind of counsel are they giving him? Whose notion was it to make Janos Slynt a lord?
And he gets fucking in on Janos Slynt.
Oh yeah, there's nobody, like nothing. And they grant him Harrenhal, that is the seat of kings. But Tywin didn't raise his voice, but Tyrion can see the anger.
Yeah.
And dismissing Selmy? What sense in that? Yo. Yes, he was old, but his name still held meaning in the 7 kingdoms. If Cersei cannot curb the boy, you must, and those counselors. Tyrion knew. Spikes, heads, walls.
You have been paying attention and taking lessons.
More than a few, father. And part of him is more pleased than he wants to admit. But the other part of him thinks of the battle and wonders if he's not being sent to hold the left again.
Yeah.
Which if you'll recall, if you've listened to that episode, we kind of broke it down where Tyrion was put on the left because it was the weakest. It was expected to collapse. And so that's what Tyrion's wondering, is if he's not being sent to their weakest point
to his death, essentially.
With Joffrey, where like he's being sent as a suicide mission to try to curb this boy. And so, that's a great thought on it. Because it's valid, and he thinks, why me? Why not a bigger man?
And Tywin stands up and exclaims, because you're my son.
That's when Tyrion knew.
Dude, a fucking switch flipped for him, and he was like, he's given up hope on Jaime.
You've given him up for lost, you bloody bastard. You think Jaime's as good as dead. I'm all you have left. Tyrion wanted to slap him. to hit him, to punch him, to cut his heart out and see if it truly was gold. Yet he sat silent. And Tywin crosses the room, his feet crunching on the glass of Tyrion's cup. Last thing, you will not take that whore to court. And Tywin leaves. And Tyrion, Jesus Christ with these names. Tyrion sat alone for a while before going to his room. And I don't know why we don't get his thoughts there, because I think those are probably and I think it's intentional, but what is he contemplating there is mainly the question I'm left with, because obviously he goes upstairs a little bit more in the room with him and Shay, but I really felt like the chapter was meant to end with him sitting there after Tywin leaves and that thought process, but instead Martin decided to
continue to have him walk back. Well, so he looks at the innkeeper
because he goes to the window in his room
and he sees her float dangling there by her neck, all gross, and it's even worse than the last time we saw her, which was when he had arrived down the mountain with the clansmen here to the crossroads. But he climbs into bed with Shay.
Well, he notes that her flesh had grown as thin and ragged as the Lannister hopes. Which essentially is what we were saying earlier, how fucked they are at this point.
And it's so crazy how twisted and turned it's gonna get.
So Shay murmurs and rolls towards him as he sits down on the bed, and Tyrion kisses her, and he's
I have a mind to take you to King's Landing. The end.
Fuck.
And that's it for our boy Tyrion.
Fuck Shay. Not literally Tyrion, but fuck Shay. So I don't know. I really would like to have known what Tyrion was ruminating over there, thinking about, because I think that was the important thing. What led him to this conclusion that he really wants to take Shay?
Part of me thinks that the whole time was him talking to himself. Go up and kick her out. You're done with her. Go kick her out. And as soon as he opened the door, that was that. He was planning on sending her away, but
was it
couldn't.
Because of the innkeeper and he thinks he might die soon that he was like, fuck it, I'm keeping her?
Maybe.
Because we might all be hanging from a fucking gibbet soon, as thin and ragged as Lannister hopes? Because, that seems to be...
Perhaps.
Kind of what I got from it was that, he was going up there determined to kick her out, and then instead sees her hanging, and he's like, shit.
So do you have an inductee?
Yeah, Tywin, duh.
Oh.
They have my son.
They had his son.
They have his son.
They still do, yeah.
Because of Tywin and just how intense he is and smart and capable and everything else. So.
Yeah.
You got an inductee?
Yeah, I got one. It's, Sir Barristan Selmy, because he fucking demands the respect of Tywin Lannister, one of the most feared and revered men in Westeros, and he is like, you stupid cunts, why would you dismiss Barry the Bold?
Yeah.
You idiots, you fucking idiots.
Yeah, his name still had weight. People still respected Barristan the Bold.
So I'm giving it to Barry just because any excuse I can to get Barristan in here when he's not going to be making an appearance for a bit.
Word.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we did get a write-in from our friend Julian in France, and Julian did write in to let us know that he did intentionally leave out that inductee, so that's our bad. And Julian, before we get to your inductee, I'm going to address something you said in this email here, which is that this particular chapter gives you the opportunity to strongly disagree with something Zach said in a previous podcast of yours. Zach, you said Tywin Lannister is pure evil, and I'm not okay at all with that statement. I feel you, and I totally misspoke or was just over-exaggerating, because I don't believe that truly. Obviously, looking at it from the Stark point of view, which you go on to say, he appears to be the evil villain. I don't believe that, Tywin is... So, yeah, no, I misspoke. You're right to call me out on that bullshit, because that is bullshit. Tywin Lannister isn't just pure evil for evil's sake. He's got his family's legacy at heart. He's willing to do some dastardly, terrible, cruel things to get it, but I also think that's sort of the conditioning of the world, which Nate and I have gone on at length about, that men are expected to carry on the legacy of their family and care for it. And so as Lord, especially with what Tywin's gone through with Lord Tytos Lannister, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I misspoke. Yeah. Tywin Lannister is not just pure evil. He absolutely has
couple that with
gray in him. And so, I misspoke on that. You're right. And I don't agree with myself at all on that one. So you're right to not be okay with it at all, because Tywin is just like every other character. He's extremely gray and black and white, and he's just, obviously, we get it from the Stark perspective a lot. So I think that may have been what I was trying to reference, was just whatever chapter it was in. They saw him as pure evil, just his presence. Especially in this book, he is sort of the overlooming overlord that people are afraid of, are terrified to cross. Tyrion the Starks, even Cersei to a degree, Jaime. We learned that.
Well, even Joffrey when he shows up.
Yeah, we just but I'm talking about in a Game of Thrones first book, right. How ever present he's just ominously kind of looming, and so that was it. I just misspoke.
And so also I wanted to throw in when you mentioned with Tytos and why he's got his shit too that led to him. The Mad King, fucking raped Joanna, and at least abused her or fucking messed with the shit.
Well, he took the what is it, the Lord's right with her, where he was able to sleep with her before Tywin, and then there was just rumors that
extra shit that's fucked, and he hasn't had the greatest life either, and he's a product of his environment, as you had mentioned, and so. Yeah, Zach thinks he's pure evil, and he talks about that all the time off microphone.
You're the fucking worst. Anyway, Julian, no, I appreciate you calling me out on that shit, because you're right, Tywin's not pure evil, and your inductee as well was Tywin Lannister, same as Nate and I's, and you gave...
Mine was Barry the Bold.
Oh, yours was Barry the Bold.
Yours was Tywin Lannister.
Mine was Tywin. Well, you and I shared the same inductee, because you said that, if you look at it from the Stark POV, he sure is the enemy, yet the Starks are the enemy when you take it from the other side's point of view. And even if Tywin might be a smart opportunist, and probably one that can trick or deceive people for his own purpose, I don't think he's evil. He looks after his family, and of course after the name Lannister. And this chapter shows us he ain't evil in a couple ways. He doesn't crave out our dead, he certainly doesn't approve of Joffrey's nonsense, and he doesn't feel happy about the war. Oh yes, he's gonna burn a few villages, and that ain't cool. That's evil, even, I hear you say. But it is a war that he didn't provoke and wouldn't have provoked if it wasn't for this idiotic child with a crown on his head. He was just a collateral victim of Cersei and the council's actions, and needs to defend the throne and the family. I don't know if he buys that Joffrey's the son of Jaime at this point. So the man is, in my humble opinion, only a villain because of the Stark bias POV we get from the book. He's a smart, powerful family chief that does what is best for his own family's interests. That's not evil. That is life and love. There's power involved as well, so don't hate the player, hate the game. No, you're right. I could agree to disagree that Tywin wouldn't start a war here.
To counter everything you guys are saying, I do believe he leans more on the evil spectrum than the good guy spectrum.
I would agree. He doesn't check. He's entitled. He's got that.
Yeah,
pride
I don't think he's pure evil. He's not a good guy. I think he's a little bit evil.
But I would I don't know.
Just like Baelish is evil.
I don't. That's it, to their own designs. But in this world, it's acceptable,
right?
Because they're protruding family and legacy.
So I think he's a bad guy, but he's mainly a bad guy because he's so ruthlessly willing to go the extra mile for his family and to defend his family and honor.
Yeah. But we have gushed on and on about fucking Tywin Lannister. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll just make an episode about Tywin because he is so complex. But those were our thoughts. Julian, thank you for writing in and correcting me.
You can reach us all over the place if you want to write in with your inductees. Our email is withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. We're on Instagram @mannerswithout. I'm on Twitter @mannerswithout. Zach is on Twitter @carstark92. We have a Facebook group, facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. We have great, awesome, sweet, badass Patreon-only episodes of the Winds of Winter sample chapters for those of you that are caught up with the series and would like a little bit more. Contribute a little bit of money to us.
Yeah, there's Mercy, Theon, and
Victarion with Barristan Selmy 1 coming soon.
On the way.
That's patreon.com/withoutmanners. You can always also leave us inductees on Reddit. If you're on Reddit, we have a Without Manners subreddit there. Go ahead and give it a follow. We post the episodes there too, so let us know what you think.
We'll see Tyrion in A Clash of Kings. Next episode, we're going to be reading Jon's final chapter, Jon 9 in A Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Jon's going to be taking a little midnight ride and learn what his vows actually maybe truly mean. And so it'll be a good one. And then after that, we've got Dany.
No, we've got Catelyn 11.
Catelyn 11.
And that's going to be her arriving at River Run finally.
King of the North.
And King of the North.
But next episode with John 9, I'm excited because we get some setup for one of my favorite lines, and so you'll have to join us to know what that line is. I'm just kidding. I'm going to say it here. Is your sword sharp, Jon Snow? That's it.
So there, just one more note that after Cat 11 will be Dany 10.
The last one in the book?
The last chapter of the book.
Wah, wah, wah.
So get ready. Get us your book inductees because we do have some of those already, and we will be having a big wrap-up episode afterwards. So
a big wrap-up episode, apparently.
It's going to be a regular wrap-up episode because it's only our second wrap-up episode. So we'll see what happens when we're wrapping it up.
Well, let's make it happen, Captain.
Word. Fella de Harris.
Peace.